The key inflation indicator that the Federal Reserve watches very closely came out this morning, and it rose 3.4% in the month of May. That's the fastest increase in inflation since the early 1990s. Yes, 1990s. The Commerce Department reported on Friday, though the gain was the biggest in 30 years, it met the Dow Jones estimate and market that the Dow Jones had estimated, and markets react very little on the news. Well, it doesn't matter what the markets did. It's pretty irrelevant. There's been a disconnect between markets and the economy for all but 3 out of the last 20 years. So, that's to be expected. The core personal consumption expenditures price index increased, reflecting a rapid pace of economic expansion. Whoa, wait a minute. You're skipping over something there. A rapid growth in economic expansion. So price pressures are amplified. Oh, look, it's hard to continue to try to put lipstick on things as the media tries to do. But look, yeah, I don't disagree with that. Prices were amplified because a lot of people were buying stuff. Okay. What's that got to do with the rapid pace of inflation? Somebody tell me. What's that got to do with it? It's got nothing to do with it. Of course it's amplified. There were a lot of people buying stuff. There was a lot of goods. There were goods and services that were purchased. So how far the nation has come since the pandemic has been introduced and the shutdown of 2020 really has a little consequence on the index. Not that it doesn't have any, certainly it has some, but the fact of the matter is the core indexes rose. The core index rose 0.5%. Who cares about core index? I don't care about core index, but I would say this: if the core index rose 0.5%, that would be contributing a great deal, obviously, to the actual estimate of food. I believe that inflation's got to be 10 or 12% right now. I know that sounds crazy and out of line, but the numbers just add up. So when you include food and energy, the index rose 3.9, I'm going to say 4%, 3.9% for the year. 4% inflation. We haven't seen that since the Clinton years. 4% inflation, and everybody's blowing it off. And yes, the Federal Reserve did comment, and they still said it's transitory. Okay? Well, so let me just give you an example. Let's just say 1.5% of it is transitory. It is still an enormous increase in inflation. And a lot of that is due to cost of wages and cost to employers for employees. That's a lot of it. We see it here in the ministry. The employer in the ministry doesn't see it. The employee doesn't see it. Obviously, we see it. And that is happening on much larger scales across the board. So the headline increase was the biggest since August 2008. August 2008. Do I need to remind you what happened in October 2008? Now, I am not relating. I don't want to relate to say, okay, we've got a month and a half and it's going to hit. No, I'm not saying that at all. We're in very different circumstances today. All I'm trying to make a point for is the numbers finally are bearing what I said inflation has been and what it's going to be. I've been talking about this for a long time. If anybody's listened to this program for any length of time and you are surprised, you haven't really listened for any length of time. If anybody is a partner of the ministry, you're really not surprised, because I would hope that most of you have heard one of the conference calls in the last 3 months. So you've been hearing me talk about this. Yes, there are transitory aspects of all inflation. That is true. I don't deny that. But the fact of the matter is, some of this inflation is not only permanent, it can't be anything but permanent because the type of inflation that it is. So, nobody wants to be worried about it. Nobody cares about it. Perhaps this is playing in the hand of the puppeteers that are running the administration. Maybe. But if we need another catastrophe crisis to further along the agenda of the far left, if we need that, it may be right around the bend.
Hey, remember to click the subscribe button right here on the screen. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when new content is added. And more importantly than anything, you don't want to miss all 3 live hours of Financial Issues every day from 9 to noon. And you can watch it on FISM.tv. That's FISM.tv.